How I learned to trust God. It started during a season when I honestly had no idea how things were going to work out. From the outside, everything looked normal. But inside, there were questions I didn't have answers to. Responsibilities were growing, plans were falling apart, and the future felt uncertain in ways I had never experienced before. I remember sitting quietly one evening, thinking a question many people have asked before. God, how is this going to work out? Maybe you've had a moment like that too. A moment where the path forward isn't clear, and you're doing your best to stay calm, but deep inside, you're wondering if things will really be okay. Uncertainty has a strange way of amplifying our fears. When we don't know what will happen next, our minds start imagining every possible problem. We begin asking questions like, what if things don't improve? What if I make the wrong decision? What if I'm not prepared for what's coming? And suddenly, the future feels heavier than the present moment. During that season, I realized something important. Sometimes the hardest part is simply not knowing how things will unfold. During that time, a verse kept appearing in my life again and again. It was Philippians 4:19. My God will meet all your needs according to the riches of his glory in Christ Jesus. At first, I read it like many people do. It sounded comforting, but also a little distant. Because when you're facing real-life uncertainty, promises can sometimes feel abstract. You wonder, does this really apply to my situation? Will God actually provide what I need? Or is this just something we say to encourage ourselves? Those were honest questions I had to wrestle with. One day, I started reflecting on my life. Not the future I was worried about, but the past I had already lived through. And I noticed something surprising. There were many moments in my life when I didn't know how things would work out. Moments when the situation seemed complicated. Moments when the path forward felt unclear. Yet somehow, things moved forward, solutions appeared. Opportunities came unexpectedly, strength showed up when I thought I had reached my limit. And I began to realize something powerful. Maybe God had been providing all along. I just didn't recognize it in the moment. One of the things I slowly learned is that God's provision is often quiet. It doesn't always arrive with dramatic miracles. Sometimes, it looks like an unexpected opportunity, a helpful conversation, a new idea that changes the direction of a problem, or even the simple strength to endure a difficult season. Sometimes it means we are given what we need to walk through it. And that realization changed how I looked at uncertainty. There was a moment during that season when something shifted in my perspective. The situation I was worried about had not fully resolved yet, but I began to realize something important. My peace could not depend only on visible answers, because visible answers sometimes take time. Faith meant trusting that even when I couldn't see the full path, God could. And slowly, that realization replaced some of my anxiety with something quieter, and that is trust. The more I reflected on Philippians 4:19, the more I understood its deeper meaning. The verse doesn't promise that life will always go exactly the way we hope, but it does promise something even more meaningful. God will provide what we truly need. Sometimes that need is strength, sometimes it's wisdom. Sometimes it's patience while life unfolds in ways we didn't expect. And sometimes the greatest provision is simply knowing we are not facing life alone. So if you're in a season right now where you're wondering how things will work out, take a moment and breathe. You may not see the solution yet. But that doesn't mean the solution isn't coming. Looking back, many of the moments that once worried us the most eventually became the moments that shaped us the most. So today, hold on to this promise from Philippians 4:19. My God will meet all your needs according to the riches of his glory in Christ Jesus. Even in uncertain seasons, God is still providing. If this message resonated with you, consider subscribing for more reflections from Heal and Rise. And if someone you know is going through a season of uncertainty, share this message with them. Sometimes a quiet reminder can make a difficult day a little lighter.